Hey guys, what's up? Going to give another vid. I seem to be flooding a whole bunch of them lately. This should, if I'm smart, I should try to make this my last one for the week at least, because I got a whole bunch of vids. And, well, I don't know. You guys tell me. Maybe I'm putting up too much at once. Maybe I'm not. Just let me know. Anyways, this one's going to be a bit more philosophical. I tend to like debating philosophical stuff. That was always my favorite course in high school. Not high school. My favorite course in college. But it will touch on the religious and the political, because it is related to those fields. Oh, before I begin, just wanted to make a note of something. I enjoy comments on my videos. This is one of the reasons why. This is the reason why I like putting the videos up. I don't put this just to say, this is the truth and that's it. I like feedback. If what I'm saying is, you agree with it, I mean, cool, let me know. If you got something to add to it, definitely do so. I don't care whether it's through text or another video. If you disagree with it, comment, put up another video. Even if I find your view flawed, I still like the back and forth because it makes me think. And the sharing of ideas is very important in the human world. It's vital for human development, the sharing of ideas and the growth of knowledge. So I don't care if your comments are negative or positive, as long as it pertains to the subject at hand. If you have a negative comment because of what I'm saying, what's on the particular subject, feel free to put up your rebuttal, and I will respond with whether I agree with you or not, but I don't mind a debate. However, if all you're going to do is just throw around a bunch of insults just to see if you're going to get a rise out of me, if that's how you're going to get your kicks, all I'm going to do is make fun of you on the comment section and then block you so that you can't send me an email. That's it. And you'll just end up looking like the asshole you are. Pretty much. Again, I don't mind negative comments as long as it deals with the subject at hand. All you're going to do is just throw insults for no other reason than that's how you get your hard-ons or that's how you get off. You've found the wrong channel. I only deal with intelligence, not stupidity. Find some other YouTube person to piss off. All I get is amusement out of it, and I have made, well, I don't know if you can call it a career, but I have made it an online career ever since I got online in '99 of ridiculing fools, and I'm damn good at it. So don't waste your time. So on with the subject at hand. I just had to say that because I just wanted to nip it in the bud before things got crazy. I've seen what happens on other channels, and I don't want this place to be a trolling station. On to the subject at hand. I touched on this before on some other vids, but I think I'll focus on it a little bit more in this one. I've always had a bit of a problem with the human tendencies of giving up their freedoms. And I'm not just talking about this politically or even religiously. We seem to have it deeply rooted in us to not only just give up freedoms because of a stupid feel for safety or whatever, but simply because we just have this thing of just following somebody else just because they happen to have a good idea, or they happen to have a particular talent, or they just spark some inspiration in us. And I've always had a problem with that, because as much as the person you might be following, whether they're dead or alive, might be a really inspiring person or a really intelligent person, this person that just moves you in some way, that's all fine and dandy. But just giving yourself up like that to the point where you're no longer thinking for yourself, you're just blindly following around a person or an ideal or a movement or whatever, is selling yourself short. Because you have your own mind and your own life. But we seem to always keep doing that. Human beings, for some idiotic reason, I touched on this before, just don't seem to want freedom, their own personal freedom, to make their own choices and use their own mind. And it's probably because I guess it's too scary at times and it takes too much effort. I'm not making that as a joke when I say it's too scary. I know some people say that sarcastically, but it can get scary when you have to come up with your own decisions and there have to be between some hard choices. Or when you're dealing with let's just say a morally ambiguous situation, and you're like, what do I do? It can get scary not knowing what's right, but that's what freedom is. Not having a guideline telling you what right and wrong is, and you have to make that decision. We have in our lives what we, so-called natural leaders. People who have a vision, no matter what that vision is. It could be a vision towards a better way of living. It could be a vision towards a better car. It could be a vision of a better way to bounce a ball. I don't know. But everybody's got well, I should say not, and not everyone's a natural leader, but I do believe that everybody's got at least some type of talent. There's something that they're able to inspire a spark of motivation in somebody else. And no matter what it is, it could be picking your nose. Somebody might have something that can get you moving on a particular field. But I noticed that people, especially in groups, when they encounter a leader, and I'm not talking about like someone who just wants to lord over you. I'm just simply talking about somebody who happens to have a vision that other people are willing to put their energies behind, and he's able to guide them there. Okay, sorry about that. Had to cut. My son was getting into things. But yeah, as I was saying, a leader is just simply someone who has a vision and is able to guide people to that destination, to that vision, get them to see his vision, and they all agree with him and they move to that destination. But that's what a leader is. Now, if you're talking about somebody who's going to be lording over them, that's a ruler. And we got enough of that. We already know the pitfalls of somebody getting into power, especially people who want power. It's a corruption. I mean, they usually are corrupt people anyway. People tend to say power corrupts, but I know corrupt people follow power. Power in itself is not an evil thing. I'm using the term evil loosely. I'll get into that rant later. But we tend to deify people simply because they have a vision. And this is where the problem starts. Many times a leader didn't even want to be deified. Like Buddha, for instance. Buddhism is a religion in many people's minds, particularly in China, but if you really look at it, it wasn't meant to be a religion. It was meant to be actually a philosophy. Same thing with Taoism. It was never meant to be a religion. It was meant to be a philosophy. If you look at Buddha's teachings, he even told his followers not to deify him. Humans, as I said in another video, they suck. They always get it wrong. We deify people. We turn leaders into gurus. We turn gurus into kings. And then we turn kings into gods. And we blindly follow them. Completely throwing away our own individuality and our own thinking processes. And this is where the problem starts. Because other human beings who covet power and who want to use other people as stepping stones in order to keep themselves in power understand this aspect of human behavior, of human mental processes, and exploit that. This is why you have such things as blind patriotism and blind faith and just this willingness to just throw away your life for somebody else without even critically thinking about what it is you're throwing your life away to. Granted, I'm not saying that there aren't certain ideals that aren't worth fighting for or aren't worth putting your life on the line for. I'm sure we can come up with several. But they aren't worth even doing that if you aren't at least thinking it through first and then honestly saying to yourself, that is what I want. And even after that, you still have to be willing to disagree with somebody, even if they're on the same page as you, because that's where individuality comes in. Individuality does not come from following a crowd. It comes from, strangely enough to some of you, disagreement. Disagreement doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. It just simply means that you see something this way and somebody else might see something that way. I happen to I can't stand today's pop music. It gets on my freaking nerves. Every time the radio is turned on, I feel an urge to put my foot through it to turn it off, unless it's like, news radio or something. Like, NPR. But other people, they got no problem with pop music. They absolutely love it. And every now and then when they mention their favorite groups, I'm like, oh my God, you listen to that? But does that mean that I have to hate the person? No. It's just a disagreement. That's a separation there, just to show our individuality. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to neglect that person is human. Again, human beings are social animals. We are all one. I'm not talking about this spooky spiritual sense, but we all are connected. We do want that sense of connection, and that's how we grow, as long as it's a positive connection. But part of that growth comes from individuality, comes from forming your own thoughts and seeing things in a way that the other person may not see it. And by expressing those views openly, you might get the person to see it and then come up with something that neither of you separated might have been able to come up with. But together, you'll be able to come up with something. Yes, it's important to be able to come together, but not at the expense of your own mind. And definitely not at the expense of just blindly following somebody and throwing your mind away just because they happen to have a decent vision of something. That's the pitfall that we fall into in many different fields, different movements, ways of life. etc. And I honestly don't see how we're going to get out of that, because it's, even in these days and times, it's way too prevalent in just about any field you can think of, from music to politics, from being in high school to at work. There's always this desire to blindly follow. And I'm really hoping that one day we learn to overcome that.